Alright, so good afternoon. So again, yes, I made a little mistake. I forgot to turn on the mic, so we are going to record this part again. So I'm sitting here with my friend Adam, and well, actually you can do the introduction. I think that's a lot easier.
So you missed out on some serious sauce. We dropped some very valuable gold nugget after nugget. Cheers, by the way. Thanks for waiting. Yeah. So thanks for having me. First of all, my name is Adam. I run a creative personal branding agency / personal branding concierge service. I work mainly and specifically with high net worth individuals, 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs, and also luxury brands. And I help them with positioning themselves, creating a very high-end, high-quality online presence. Essentially speaking, building digital business cards for them, right? All done for you in the highest possible quality. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do in a nutshell.
Thank you. So well, I thought it would be fun to, since in the last video in Saint-Tropez as well, we sit down with a few friends and discuss a little bit about what we do as in general with our companies and what my friends are doing in general. And we were just discussing in the previous take, which I ruined a little bit by not turning on the mic, that it's super important to have the right people around you, to have the right interesting people who really want to do something with their life instead of just
Enjoy life too much.
Enjoy life. I think I know this girl. So we were thinking that it would be fun to record a little take on what we think is important and why it's so good to have friends around you which are more interesting and who are also willing to put all their time into the business and really want to scale and grow together. So yeah, well, that's why we're sitting here with Adam. And what are your goals? What do you want to reach within, let's say, 2 years?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, to touch on the first thing, I think it is super important, right, to surround yourself with the right people, because we talked about it already. We talk about it every single time we meet. I mean, last time I saw this guy was like 1 year ago. But the beauty is, like, every single time we meet, you know, we talk so much about what happened, like the progress that we experienced, the wins, the losses, right? Like, it's all part of the game. And it's so motivating and inspiring as well to know that whenever you meet someone, no matter if it's 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, right, there's always some new things happening, some success going on, some learnings that you can share. Because obviously, you know, Yodi, like with your business, you're operating in a different kind of space, right, than me. So you can always like learn from each other, share valuable information, etc., etc. And yeah, just so valuable, right? So make it a priority of yours if you have the chance right now. Like, let's say if right now you don't feel like your friends group is inspiring you or like uplifting you, it's such a basic thing to say, but honestly, you should really cut them off, as hard as it sounds, because they will drag you down. If you have people that are, you know, maybe even above you in terms of like success or like progress of business or on the same level, like the same motivation, hunger and everything, it does so much for you and for business. It makes things so much easier. So just wanted to touch on that. Regarding what are my plans, honestly, just keep doing what I've been doing, because especially in the last 12 months, I would say, I was very lucky and, you know, blessed enough to meet and work with amazing individuals from all over the world. That includes brands and also entrepreneurs. So just keep doing that, build out something that has not been created yet in the space, because I feel like also what my clients always tell me, what I kind of created with social statics, there isn't really anything like that on the market. So it's kind of my USP, my advantage, I guess. There's some people now trying to copy me, which is another story. But yeah, just keep doing that, making an amazing job, like keep doing an amazing job. And also right now, I do have a community, because I've been doing some organic content as well on my Instagram recently. Been going pretty well, like 1.5 million impressions the last 30 days. I'm getting a lot of traffic as well. So I'm trying to channel all of the traffic into community, all about personal branding, positioning content, and help those people that are maybe starting out right now and don't have the financial resources to invest into something like that themselves, and help them out whatever I can. So I would say that's kind of my goal. But what about you? I know you obviously talk a lot about, you know, Esygn, what you do, what your plans are, what you guys are doing and everything, but maybe give the guys an update as well.
Absolutely. So first of all, what I wanted to touch base on for a second is that we did not see each other for 1 year-ish, which is actually very funny, because we are almost, well, I would not say speaking every day, but we have this group chat on WhatsApp that we are basically constantly informing each other. Okay, what are we doing? Where are we?
You're sending memes pretty much.
Yeah, and memes, a lot of memes. No, but constantly like, okay, guys, this is what's happening. We've done this. Well, Bink is in there as well, and Thijs, another friend of ours, and it's just constantly like updating. Like, okay, we're doing this. We are flying here. The client is there. We are going to do this, which is super motivating. And then when you do not see each other for a year, it doesn't feel like that. It's just constantly updating each other and knowing what the plans are slash goals are, which I think is super interesting and helpful. But to get back to the question, so what my slash our plans are, currently what we've seen and mostly what we've noticed is that we, since the beginning of this year, we made a huge change. And I said this before also in a previous video. What we really noticed is that the traditional agency model is not really working anymore, because a lot of people or hire and not specialists, or they're doing something with AI and it's not that interesting anymore. But what we've really been doing is like switching basically our vision from a standard traditional agency more into highly performing branding agency basically. So really checking in on the part of how to keep our clients consistent on how they look, feel, and that's in combination with performance marketing, so ads. I would say that is the most interesting way how to position yourself, because that's also how you can get the client. Everybody can do either branding or performance, but not both. That's something that we've really noticed. Next to that, we also have Poppy, of course. Poppy is a software that we've created a year ago, which we are implementing on all of our clients. Slowly but steady, we're just positioning the brand and making it more part of Esygn to make that one big, collective company basically.
I think it's also very important what you touched on right now with being unique, like offering something that isn't easily replaceable in a sense, right? Because especially nowadays in the whole online space, there's like millions of ads. Everybody's telling you, start an agency, like right now, start an AI agency, right? You'll print like 10, 20K per month like tomorrow. Everything has been done already. And I'm not saying if you just take a very, traditional kind of approach to business, if you just have a traditional agency or like whatever, that you will not be able to see success. That's not what I'm saying, but it is way easier if you create something that hasn't been done yet, or at least add your own unique touch to it, right? And I think that's also why it's working so well for you guys, because you combined, different parts from the agency space and created something unique that really makes you stand out in the market. And I guess it's similar for me, right? There's like tons of videographers, content creators, but I just speak to a very specific target audience, like demographic within the whole space, and I have a very specific approach, right? And I offer very specific services that are just not typical. And that's also why it's easier for me to get clients, high quality clients, why it's easier for me to charge higher prices, high ticket prices. Same for you, right? So try to be different. Like honestly, it's so easy nowadays to start a business. Yes, that's a very good advantage and blessing that we have nowadays. But also don't be lazy, don't be too lazy to not add your own touch to it and make it actually your own thing, right?
I think that is exactly the point, is to make your own style. I think that's the most important with any business that you're doing. Basically, if it's a company which creates products or service or whatever it is the personality behind it which makes the people buy it. It's not the product. All these products exist somewhere. It's just how you position it yourself and how you create basically this feeling that comes with it by creating a feeling basically. Yes. And that's also very fun actually to add. We are currently in the middle of a negotiation, so I'm not saying we have the client yet. Hopefully in the next video we will. We're currently working with a potential collaboration with a brand from Denmark, and this is from the event that I went to in Denmark, the 3 days of design. And the cool thing is this company exists now for 102 years, if I'm correctly. Maybe it's like 104 or something, but over 100 years.
A long time.
Very long. What I want to say with this is that it is so interesting to see that how we position ourselves. We go to these events, we bring the Esygn books, we speak with them in a way that they understand what we do, who we are, that they are just interested in working with us. And a company which is existing for over 100 years do absolutely know what to do. They know how to run a company basically. And that is, I think, the interesting part on if you niche yourself down to something which is strong and also shows that you know what you're doing, then it doesn't really matter to who you're selling because you know what to do.
Yeah, branding is everything. So make sure to DM me on Instagram. We can. It's actually true, right? Like I think it's a very good point that you mentioned with the whole feelings, right? Human beings are emotional beings. We buy based on emotions, right? That's also like why brands like Louis Vuitton, like those luxury brands, are so successful, because if you go into their store, like you feel a certain way, right? You wear like a piece of like from Loro Piana or Louis Vuitton, you feel a certain way. You feel elegant, wealthy, like you made it, right? Like you feel like you're him, right? And that's exactly what you should try to aim to recreate with your brand, right? Like make your clients feel a certain way, because once you're able to achieve this, people will always come back to you, because no other business, no other competitor, quote unquote, will be able to replicate what you've been able to do for your clients. And that's super, super important. Besides of that, because we also talked about it off camera, obviously you run Esygn and Poppy, which is super amazing, by the way. I still love the concept. Is there like any update on that, like, I guess my question would be as well now, because obviously I've been a part of like your journey and Bing's journey as well. Are there like some learnings that you had from starting a different, like a second business while still running your first one? Because a lot of people always preach and tell you, okay, focus 100% on one business, don't do like 10 things at once, right? Because it will like destroy the results or like whatever, like your focus. What has been your experience so far? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? Like, are there any specific learnings or any piece of advice that you would give to people when it comes to having two businesses or even more businesses rather than just one?
Well, that's a good question, and indeed also something, of course, we spoke about before off camera. But what I think, and I really think that's super important to follow. Basically, when you start a company, I think you need to go full in, like all in on making it successful. And I agree with people who say that you should not focus on multiple things at the same time, because you can only spend your time once. That's just the main point. In the case with Poppy is a company which is very similar, or let's say needed by clients from Esygn. So what it means is that we can use our clients to grow the second company. But if I would say, okay, well, this company, for example, with Esygn, we charge very premium pricing. With Poppy, we do not, because it's software and it's accessible. Exactly, it's a monthly subscription, so it's accessible for everyone. So in that case, you do not want to scale to, or at least your pricing, you don't want to scale your pricing to a very high price point, because it doesn't make sense. Then you need a few clients instead of a lot. So what I think is the most important is focus on a company, make sure that it works, that it runs, that we have, for example, with Esygn, an amazing team. For example, last week I was in Barcelona for a wedding. I do not have any worries that the work that we need to do is being done. Everybody is doing excellent job on what we need to do. But now that I'm back, I'm like, okay, guys, how are we going to do it? What are the plans? And then we can continue. So basically, you need to have the right people around you to be able to do the next thing, because otherwise you're just losing your focus, and then neither of those will scale. What is your vision on that?
I mean, I agree with that, and I believe, because obviously I've been following and watching every single video that you put out. Biggest fan, honestly, guys. I think we all agree on that. Fucking movies that this guy has been producing. If I remember correctly, you had a video on how you found your team and like how you built your team, right? Yeah, so maybe you already touched on that, but maybe for people that are watching for the first time now, do you maybe have like 2 or 3 pieces of advice when it comes to, you know, finding good talent for your company? Because honestly, like for a long time, maybe some of you are in a similar position, it's very difficult for me to find someone and kind of trust a stranger with my business that I kind of created, right? And trust him with the quality of my work, with my clients, with my reputation, all of those things. So I guess, what would you recommend or advise people that are in this situation to do when it comes to finding those people, trusting those people, delegating, outsourcing, etc., etc.?
Well, that's a good question. What I think is the most important, and that's also something we really learned the hard way with Esygn, is 2 things. So first of all, you need to find the right talent which fits to you. And I'm not saying that is someone who is exactly like you, but more your company culture. Like, you want someone who really fits. Like, for example, when it's 5 p.m, well, I'm not stopping with working if I need to do stuff. Like, I usually not at 5 p.m, but let's say as an example, if the clock ticks 5, you should not have people who quit. Like, you want people who finish the project, know what to do, they do not care if they need to go a little bit more. You need to reward them also for that, like, very important. But just more the mentality of someone who's really interested in putting an effort to grow with you. And I think it takes a lot of time to find these type of people. We use a lot of our network to do this, because, well, as we just said in the beginning, like, friendship is very important. And if you surround yourself with the right people, it's much easier to find good talent. And just ask around, and then someone else asks around again. And then the second question is how you let loose, basically. I would say it's super important to give very strict guidelines and say, okay, this is what you need to do. In our case, we say you have all the freedom that you need or want, but we need to have this done by this and this time. Exactly, very strict deadlines. But also what we've noticed, and that is, I think, also very interesting, that's something we learned along the way as well, is that you should not expect that someone knows directly from the start exactly what you want. You need to guide them. So from the moment that you say, okay, this is what we want, and they're doing the task, but it's not directly perfect, obviously it's maybe get annoyed, or you're like, why is this not done? But you also need to guide them in the process and say, okay, well, this is not good, this is how we expect it, how we're going to fix it. And that is super valuable, because when you train them, then they do it well. Nicolas, for example, amazing guy, super smart, has a very creative way of doing things. And in the beginning, we said, okay, well, let's do it. And then afterwards, we were like, okay, let's do this, make our vision together. And I'm not saying that the first time was bad, but it just needed a little bit of an adjustment. Yeah, in a positive way. And now, well, we basically can just say, okay, well, we're not even looking at what he's doing. He's just doing it, and it's good. And I think that is very, very cool to see. Shout out to you, Nicolas, when you see this. But really, this is what you want. Someone who you can basically trust blind. So yeah, well, are you like planning on hiring people soon, or?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to me as well, like on a daily basis, trying to apply for like appointments, setter roles, closer roles and all of those things. The thing with my business is the work I do, it kind of depends on me, right? So I'm still working, in the business rather than on the business, which, can be a bad thing, can be a good thing. Of course, I charge different prices, so it's kind of a different story. I still enjoy doing it myself, but at some point I will need to kind of learn to delegate to other people. I guess I still need to find my own way of doing so, because it's not, again, a classical business model, right? Like just an agency, you have like person X, person Y doing this and this. It kind of depends on me still. So I'll be just trying to find a solution. So far I've been automating quite a few things as well. I love that ManyChat, right? I mean, most of you probably will know it anyways. Like all of those people always saying like DM me the word XYZ and then you get a message. I love that because especially with the content now, like I've been getting hundreds of messages every single day, and I automatically guide people to either my main offer, to my school community, to a one-time call, fully automated. So that is amazing. I think nowadays you have so many amazing resources you have access to that you can utilize for your business, and that's amazing. But yeah, when it comes to talent, I'm still working on it, but the time will come for sure. Yeah, so maybe I need to talk to Yodi for some advice.
I'll send you an invoice. Hey, thank you so much. I think it's really nice to have all the time different type of people also in the videos, because it gives really an insight in what we do and also the people that we hang around with. So thank you so much. And we're going to enjoy our beer. Or 3 or 4. Cheers.
Bye-bye.